You're listening to El Niños, the Tornado Hunters podcast.
Holy crap. What a monster. Two of them now.
Grab a cerveza and turn up those speakers.
Yawn, man! Whoa! Good driving, Ricky. Oh, this vehicle's underneath it. Oh, it's taking up power poles.
Welcome to El Niños, the Tornado Hunters podcast. On this episode, we welcome our special guest, Storm Nerd and Playboy model, April Wilhelmina. Now, you don't hear that combination very often, so this should be an interesting episode. We'll be talking record heat waves, pyrocumulus clouds, California wildfires, and even lightning. A few weeks ago, we spoke with extreme athlete Brett Tippie about taking chances and stepping out of your comfort zone. And tonight with April, we're going to be talking about some of those same themes again. But first, let's meet the Niños. I want to first go to Nick the Body. Nick has been chasing storms for almost 15 years. Nick the Body, we will get to a discussion on weather in a moment, but I want to ask you first off, have you ever read any of the articles in Playboy?
Yeah, I definitely have, but it's been a while. I remember, of course, as every young man does when they saw their first Playboy. I remember that quite vividly. But as far as the articles go, I couldn't tell you the last time I dove into an article in a Playboy or any magazine for that matter. We were talking earlier with Garrett, and the magazine industry, at least in print, is really kind of tapered off with the advent of the internet.
Yeah, internet. I've heard about it. Let's meet Cubby. Cubby has been chasing storms for 20 years, and he's seen it all from EF5s to twin tornadoes, and he's even been inside, one of the few people on Earth who's been inside multiple tornadoes and lived to tell the tale. Cubby, when you were in high school, you were a swimmer, a competitive swimmer, so that means you've spent a lot of time in a Speedo. Have you ever done any modeling?
You know what? Back in 2003, I did a little photo spread for Maxim magazine.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. No. But yeah, no.
Really? You're kidding. That's a shock.
I was an all-state, all-conference swimmer back in the day, back when I was in shape. But those days are long gone. I'm overweight, out of shape, 42 years old. That's just what it is nowadays. 3 kids. That's just how it works, right?
Boy, that happened quick, didn't it?
Yeah.
That really happened quick.
Downhill, super fast.
So we are missing, we're missing Ricky Forbes tonight. He wasn't able to make it on. So I'm Greg. They call me Greggles. And like the rest of these guys, I'm obsessed with the weather, photography, and sharing stories from the world of storm chasing. So I want to thank everybody who's tuning in from around planet Earth. We've got people this evening from as far away as New Zealand and Australia, throughout Europe. We've even got South America tuning in. So that's pretty exciting. A reminder that we can be found on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. And you can visit tornadohunter.com to get past episodes of El Niños and to find all of our social links. There's even some cool Tornado Hunter content at the link tornadohunter.com. Also, a quick reminder that if you like the show, please hit the subscribe or follow button on your favorite podcast app. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere that you get your podcasts. El Niños is part of the Stormfront Freaks podcast network. And when you subscribe to Stormfront Freaks, you also get El Niños. So you get Stormfront Freaks one week, El Niños on the alternating week. And both shows are a ton of fun. And we have currently almost 140 episodes in the library, so you're sure to find some sort of content weather-wise that you'll find and enjoy, including, Nick, we had, from The Bachelor, Chris Bukowski was on. We had pro athlete Amanda Ruler. We've had Brett Tippie, comedians Kelly Taylor and Alex Zerbe, and we've even had country music legend Paul Brandt on as a guest. So let's get started this week with a topic that I'm sure all of our storm and weather nerd friends, and I guarantee all of our patrons like Garrett Beverly, are interested to talk this week about the big story, which is the heat wave, the fires, and pyrocumulus clouds. So let's start, Nick, with you. Where do you want to go first on these topics?
Well, I was hoping that you might do your job and kind of guide that, but I guess, yeah, I'm fine with taking that over. Now, I was going to talk first about maybe the heat. Maybe we should go there.
Yeah, let's do that first.
Can we share this, the map there, Cubby? Can you do that? Okay, so first of all, I've got the supercell composite up here for this weekend because some people in eastern Saskatchewan are looking for rain. Not bloody likely, but maybe western Saskatchewan on Sunday could see a storm or two. But here's what we're really after this week is this temperature reading, and really not just this week, but beginning sort of mid to late week this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but really into next week, like Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba. Winnipeg is likely going to break their all-time heat record next week. We're looking at temperatures around that sort of evening time. They're going to be climbing in, like Saskatoon at 102 here. We're going to be at 99, 95. On the centigrade scale, we're looking at 35 to 37 degrees, but could get much higher as those...
Look at Idaho and Montana there as well. Like, oh my God.
They're crazy down there. I don't know. This, again, is just another huge ridge of high pressure that's kind of stuck and is going to be stuck here. I looked 2 weeks ahead, and it looks like, with the exception of now, maybe one day over the next 2 weeks where, so this is the 23rd, where it's going to get only to 28 or 29 degrees Celsius in Regina, Saskatoon. We're looking at highs between 30 and 40 degrees, maybe over 40 degrees for a couple of days late next week and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And this heat isn't going anywhere. And the other thing is that with that wildfire smoke that's now coming down from the north, there's 100 forest fires that are burning up in this area of Saskatchewan right now, as well as, of course, several in BC. One of two things is going to happen there. Either that will inhibit some of the daytime heating if the smoke gets super thick, but if that smoke tends to hang out just sort of in the upper regions of the atmosphere, then it actually acts as a Tupperware lid on a container that's kind of in the microwave, and so then it could actually get a little bit hotter than what the forecast is. So we're awaiting the results of that smoke, but it's going to be hot on the prairies for a long time.
Let's actually talk about the last time we were on here all together was right before the heat wave that hit Washington, Oregon, parts of Idaho, and of course British Columbia up in Canada. And prior to 2 weeks ago, the hottest temperature ever recorded in Canada was 44.3 degrees Celsius. And Lytton, British Columbia, among about a dozen other communities in British Columbia 2 weeks ago, hit a staggering 49.6 degrees Celsius. That is
insane.
That is Death Valley type temperatures. And you talk about throwing a pie of pudding in somebody's face. Imagine the town of Lytton, British Columbia. They set on a Wednesday the record 49.6 degrees Celsius. That's almost 130 degrees Fahrenheit. And then the following day, the entire town burned to the ground.
Crazy.
Oh, yeah,
Crazy.
not only did they smash it that day, I mean, they smashed the record 2 days before that. So they hit 46.6 on the Monday, I think it was, and then Tuesday 47.9, and then on Wednesday 49.6, and then of course that later that week they had that fire roll through and it destroyed 90% of the town. But the big story is the normal temperatures for this time of year are nowhere near 40 degrees in that part of British Columbia or anywhere like Vancouver, for instance. The communities that were smashing records, smashing them on average by 6 degrees. So, Vancouver at 31, 32 degrees a week or two ago there. I mean, the normal temperature in Vancouver this time of year is about 23. They're 8 degrees over, and they're 6 degrees over their all-time record. And that was the story across the mainland, where temperatures are usually about 24 degrees this time of year. Central interior British Columbia is around 28, 29. The hottest temperature ever in Agassiz, I'm probably slaughtering the pronunciation, but I think it's Agassiz, British Columbia, Agassiz. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. The hottest temperature there ever was recorded in 1895 at 33 degrees. Well, they've been ahead of that a couple of times now, and they got to 41. So they smashed their all-time record by 8 degrees.
Yeah, let's not forget about Washington. Like Washington, as bad as the numbers were in British Columbia, they were equally as bad in Washington. And there were, and I haven't got obviously confirmation. I don't have a link to give you or anything, but reports are upwards of 2,000 people that perished, that literally were killed by this heat wave. And when you think in terms of tornadoes and hurricanes and numbers of fatalities, nothing comes close.
Yeah. Nothing comes close to heat. I mean, cold weather in Canada and exposure deaths can get up there, but we're also overtaken now in Canada by these heat deaths. And I mean, there were 400 or 500 alone in British Columbia, right? These sudden deaths due to heat. And so you think about the concentration of population that Washington has as well, and how many more people are down there, and the aging population as well, because typically the people who succumb to heat stroke and heat death tend to be either very elderly or very, very young. And you got to know the signs of that. Like, we're not used to that sustained period of heat. So like I said, the next 2 weeks, we're looking at temperatures of between 30 to 40 every single day. Regina on average gets 16 plus 30 or better days a year. We hit that mark yesterday. So, I mean, we're likely to triple that this year, I would say, because the next 14 days, I bet you 12 out of those 14 are going to be over 30 degrees. We typically on average have 5 plus 30 or better days in July. We're at 6 already on the 11th or 12th of July.
One of the one of the stories that I think got lost in the whole British Columbia, Washington heat dome story was the fact that north of the 60th parallel, up in the Northwest Territories of Canada, they also, Fort Smith, Northwest Territories, hit 39.8, I believe, degrees Celsius. So almost 100, like 120 or something Fahrenheit. And this is in a northern climate where, frankly, they get some warm days, but like 22, 23 would be considered, whoa, that's a great day. And they were hitting almost 40 degrees, 120 Fahrenheit. So it's been an incredible summer. Let's move on to the fires, and let's talk about what's happening in California at the moment, which is tragic. It's scary as hell. Cubby, have you seen the pictures of the fires in California this week?
I have, yeah. It's insane. So like there's over 31 million people in Western US right now that are under like a heat warning there. So like it's insane. Like fires are just popping up. Like we thought last year was bad, the fires out in Western US, but it's going crazy.
There are
crazy.
3 times as much land has burned this year than last year.
I know a lot of people say that that's natural, it's a natural thing just to have that happen, but it's way too much right now.
Yeah, it does. It definitely has that feel of this year already being something special. And I don't mean special in a good way. I mean special as in unique and different from prior years. Nick, one of the things that I have been just fascinated with on satellite imagery, and by the way, if you don't have a good app on your phone for satellite imagery, I highly recommend checking out SatSquatch. So that's SAT Squatch. And SatSquatch as an app is this great. You can pick up satellite imagery, and you can zoom right in, and you can get very, very detailed, interesting images. And one of the things I've been obsessed with is these pyrocumulus clouds, where a forest fire starts. And it gets such extreme heat and such extreme energy, which draws in, acting like low pressure, it draws in that wind and that moisture from any moisture that's available from around the storm. And it literally creates its own cumulus cloud with lightning and all of the things that go along with a cumulus cloud. But when you watch these pyrocumulus on a loop on satellite, it's absolutely remarkable.
I've got a little diagram as to how this happens exactly. And, much like run-of-the-mill cloud, what happens is we've got rising moisture here. But here it's the air that rising because of the heat of the fire. And that rising air condenses the moisture, and those cloud levels can get pretty high. I had the pleasure of seeing one of these form on my way back from British Columbia. I think it was in 2017 in the Rocky Mountains, actually. There was a fire that had formed on the BC Alberta border. And up in the mountains there was a pyrocumulus cloud that developed, and actually saw some lightning from it as well. But yeah, they create their own weather. You have lightning bolts, which don't help the situation at all, because typically you don't get a lot of moisture from these clouds. So more lightning means more propensity of fire starting at the ground level again. And any precipitation that you do get tends to be pretty scant in these clouds. So, all right, this is not my video. This is actually a video that happened in Texas, and you can see that this is actually a wildfire that's happening at the ground level in grass. And typically, when we see the pyrocumulus, the elevation is a factor. I've only ever seen a pyrocumulus in the mountains. I've never seen one formed here. But look at this thing. Yeah, this cloud looks like it's shooting up into that 30, maybe 40,000 foot range. And it's also extending itself, a few miles across the road and into the next field over. And so this is bad news for people at ground level, because that lightning is going to kick up what obviously is always a very dry area in Texas
to begin with. And Adam's a great storm chaser too. He's he's a good one.
Yeah, Adam Lucio. Yeah, so this is probably not that common an event, especially in Texas, from a grass fire. We tend to see them a little more often in higher elevation areas in, like I said, in BC. But this is the real deal. Like, this looks like the wall cloud that we saw on Sunday.
Yeah,
there, Greggles.
No kidding. If you guys go on satellite imagery right now in southeast Oregon, there is a great, well, I guess not great, maybe the wrong choice of words, but there's an incredible pyrocumulus cloud that developed today, and it showed up really well on the satellite imagery. So it's something to check out as well. But unbelievable.
So if you want to see this video, I mean, there's some lightning now coming out of that cloud, which, I mean, this is my experience with the pyrocumulus, is that it's these very quick strikes that happen. But this is Adam Lucio's video. Large wildfire kicks off severe thunderstorm, incredibly rare event. And they actually ended up getting some hail and rain out of this cloud too, which is unbelievable. So there you go.
Well, and you made the comment and the point earlier about the lightning, is that you got a pyrocumulus cloud, which is from a big wildfire that's kicking down lightning, creating new wildfires. It's not a good situation. So
No, it's a bad situation. It's the opposite of good.
Now,
That's
Nick,
a
do
Crazy
you have
shot
your
right there.
do you have your
Yeah.
video, Nick?
I don't. I thought I had posted it up, but I don't. I guess I didn't. I could probably go hunting for it while we're chatting in a bit
no,
here.
it's all right.
But
Sorry,
I definitely have a
curious.
picture I could post of it.
Sure, if you got that.
Well, okay, just give me
Um,
30 seconds on that one.
So we actually have a great question from Kat Boynton. Chris, if you can pull that one up. She says, I have a question. Does the application of seeding clouds affect how you go about storm hunting? And Chris, have you ever even thought about the cloud seeding when it comes to chasing?
No, I don't think that exists, to be honest.
It does exist. They
I mean,
fly
it does
planes.
exist, but does it really work though?
That's the
Like,
thing. That's the thing. It's debatable on whether it works or not. I can say that whenever I've chased, and the place that I think does the most kind of cloud seeding would be that front range or foothills range of Alberta, where they tend to do a lot of cloud seeding. And the idea is that to prevent hail from getting so big that it does a lot of damage, if they seed the clouds so that the hail falls when it's much smaller, then there's less financial impact, insurance, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, does it work? I don't know. They still get a ton of big hail out there in the foothills, so I don't really know if it's one thing, Nick, and Cubby, maybe we should be thinking about getting one of the guys who flies one of those cloud seeding planes. We should get one of those guys on as a guest and ask that question, because I've always been a skeptic, but maybe there's some science that I don't understand, you don't understand, and maybe.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't exist. It doesn't happen. They just say that for the public, I think.
That would be like trying to book Bigfoot on the show, I think, to find one of the pilots.
Yeah, let's just call up Sasquatch.
Yeah.
It's like we seeded it, but 2 hours later, your windshield's gone after like 6 baseballs hit it.
Right? Do they do cloud seeding in Virginia as well, Garrett?
Not that I know of. Mostly hunting for pot.
Pot and
Yeah, out in them there hills.
Yeah. Checking the nooks and crannies from the mountains there.
So, Gary, let me ask you this: you ever walked upon, like, when you're out shooting and like the mountains or the hills there? Have you ever walked upon a moonshine?
The steel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually, you know to leave well enough alone most of the time. So there's usually trail cams and things like that out there, around it. So guys are pretty crafty. If they want to come back on you bad enough, they'll find you.
Oh yeah, crazy stuff, man. I started watching that moonshine on Discovery. It was insane.
Yeah, but it's like everything else on Discovery. There, parts of it are scripted to an extent for the drama side of it, because you have to know. It's like if you're going to put a moonshine show on TV about something that's illegal, how are the cops not going to do anything about it?
Yeah, I've never understood that about that show.
Well, it shows like after, like 3, 4, 5 months after the fact, right? So maybe they'll move their still at that point.
Yeah, keep relocating.
All right, what do we got here, Nick?
That's my shot of the pyrocumulus cloud out in BC Alberta border there. I was on the Trans-Canada Highway coming back toward Calgary when this guy sparked up. Actually, we watched the genesis of the fire and also the formation of that cloud. So I was able to snap a few pictures of this cloud that began to form. And I know I have video of the whole formation of the cloud somewhere. I'll pull it, and then maybe that'll be something I'll put on the Patreon site for folks.
It's interesting, that photo, Chris, if you can go back to it for a second, is that other than the color, in that mid altitude area that obviously has the color of the fire and the smoke, other than the color, I mean, it really does look exactly like the early stages of a supercell forming.
Yeah, and that cloud didn't get much bigger than that. It kind of pittered out after that, but some of these things you can see that get the anvil and the whole structure and everything going. Even the ones that come off of the volcanic eruptions, the ash.
Pyroclastic, it's crazy.
Yeah, pyroclastic clouds, those are crazy and terrifying because they're filled with glass.
Boy, I'll tell you, I think every weather photographer on Earth has that volcanic eruption lightning strike photo at the very top of their bucket list. I just wish we had active volcanoes closer. Well, maybe I don't wish for that. Great comment from Curtis. I loved it. All four of you are trying not to laugh at the word cloud seeding. Cubby, I think it's time we get to our guest. Who do we got with us tonight?
We have the famous April Wilhelmina. This Playboy cover model is just your standard golden-haired, pizza and beer loving farm girl from the prairies. Having grown up in southern Saskatchewan, she has seen her fair share of storms. These days, she is living her best life as a sleeping beauty in the woods on Vancouver Island. You can find this Viking at the beach, latest art gallery shows, traveling for photo shoots, or exploring nature with her new puppy, Lady. April, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. How are you?
We're doing great, April. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
So April, we've been looking forward to this because we've had lots of conversations online with Instagram and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. You are a storm. I hope you don't mind me calling you this. You are a total storm nerd.
I definitely am. Yeah.
So where does that come from? Tell us a little bit about your background. Why are you such a storm nerd?
Well, I grew up in southern Saskatchewan, so as you guys know very well, the old adage where you can see your dog running for days is quite true. It's incredibly flat. But what that does offer is great opportunity to always see what weather is going to be coming. So on the farm, it's kind of a really important piece to be able to gauge what type of weather is going to be hitting your fields, hitting your livestock. In certain types of climates, you can lose cattle, lose animals due to hail. And we had a tornado take one of our barns before I was born, but I've seen my fair share of tornadoes, and I always just thought it was incredible. And my favorite part would be in the summers when you'd have these really, really hot days and we'd be working out in the fields and that. And then late at night, you could always see where the supercells were developing. And you would know about how many hours you had before the big thunderstorms hit. So you had to get really good at driving a tractor because they're not fast, as you all know. So if you're like 100 kilometers from home base and you're in a tractor and you see the supercell coming in and you're like, oh shit, I gotta get back to the yard, otherwise I'm gonna be kind of stuck out here, because as you guys know, it can go from like 0 to mud wrestling weather pretty quick, and tractors don't particularly like mud.
So April, it sounds like you're really good at tracking a storm, so we could really use you in our team, to be honest. It's like we're hitting the dumps right now. But
really?
So from being a small
need some female representation by the looks of it.
Amen to that.
So being a small town girl, like moving out west, like what was that like for you? Like you grew up on the farm, you grew up small town, like moving to like a big city. Is that like a shock, or did you enjoy it? Did you love it, embrace it? Like what was your thing?
Yeah, over to the big city. I love it. There's no winter here, and I haven't had to shovel anything in about 7 years. So it's great. I feel like BC is this little paradise, and people try not to kind of tell anyone about it, especially Vancouver Island, where my backyard is the woods, and I have a river running through my backyard, my own private beach, and then right across from me are waterfalls. They do not exist in Saskatchewan, at least not in southern Saskatchewan. I know the upper interior has quite a bit, but where I grew up is flat and bone dry. So it's nice. And this is maybe a little silly, but I like it's way easier to garden here. Roses actually grow here. They don't grow in the prairies that well, among other fun extracurricular plants. So it's a great province, and it was a little bit of a culture shock, but I just kind of like isolate myself to the woods when I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed.
So, April, you got your education degree at the U of R, correct?
That's right. Yeah, I have 2 bachelor's degrees.
Right. So I wanted to, Cubby, if you can share my screen, I wanted to show you this picture, April. I photographed this shot of the University of Regina campus on Sunday night, like literally 2 nights ago. And so I thought, wow, that's kind of epic timing considering you were coming on the show. Tell us about that time and education. And did you go into teaching at all after getting your degree?
I did. So everyone always kind of jokes about this, like, oh, if you were my teacher. But I didn't. I worked. So I actually started out in medicine, did 2 years of pre-med, which is basically just a whole bunch of science classes. It's not that prestigious in any way. And then I realized I didn't really want to be in school for another 10 years, nor did I want to pay for another 10 years of school. So I transferred into high school education. So I have an English education degree and a fine art degree. And I taught high school English for about 2 years cumulatively, and mostly grades 9 and 12 advanced placement. And then I moved here and got a job at a corporate law firm and worked there up until right before COVID hit. So I haven't updated my LinkedIn yet. I think it still says I work there. I do not. And worked there long enough, did the 9 to 5 thing as long as I needed to be able to get all the things you need a 9 to 5 to get, you know, a house, mortgage, car loans, all of that fun stuff. And then I had my house actually destroyed in a windstorm. It was a plow wind out here on Vancouver Island. I had a 100-foot hemlock was uprooted by the plow wind. I think it was 170 click per hour.
Whoa.
Winds.
Holy Lord.
And it sliced my house in half.
What?
So,
Where were
in the
you?
house at the time?
I was in Montreal at the time for a shoot.
Oh, good.
I had just started modeling at the time. And I was also working for the law firm at the same time. But if I was home, I would have been dead. But the island was completely devastated. I don't know if you guys, it was back December 2018. I don't know if you guys remember it at all. Oh, my cat wants to come say hi. And it was horrific. Like it looked like a hurricane, like aftermath. So when that happened, I started getting a little bit more serious into modeling because I had been avoiding leveraging my appearance for anything for a very long time, perhaps out of like some sort of intellectual ego. And then I was kind of realizing that was stupid, and started working for Playboy while working for the law firm to be able to pay for my house rebuild. And ended up being quite successful in the modeling that I didn't have to work for the firm anymore.
So back that up 1 second there, April. So you worked with the government, you worked with the law firm. I'm actually a Canadian or an American citizen, but I'm trying to get my permanent residency now in Canada. Can you fast track that?
She cannot help you with this.
Can you fast track that for me?
That's such a ridiculous question.
Yeah, so I could. My billable, I don't know what your affordability index is for your billable.
April, his affordability index is really low.
No, actually, I've all my paperwork in.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of waiting for them to get back to me.
It's a long, arduous process. I can tell you, I do have a girlfriend who just finished her citizenship test, and you do need to know who Wayne Gretzky is, apparently.
Wayne who?
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. Instant fail.
April, when you're arrested by the police and they say if you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. That's the realm that Chris Chiddick is in right now.
Copy that.
But I can certainly point you in the right direction. We had some incredible immigration lawyers.
That's awesome.
Hey,
So
I
you
was
ever
just
get
looking
you ever
at
get back
the.
to you ever get back to Saskatchewan at all, April?
Not as much as I'd like to. So there's a lot of things I really loved about Saskatchewan, and a lot of things I kind of didn't really like as well. It was a really wonderful place to grow up. It taught me a lot of always leaving things better off than you came to them at, whether that you're a guest or in any interactions with people. However, one thing I didn't really subscribe to is like while it's at the tip of Tornado Alley, it's also at the tip of the Bible Belt too. And I kind of didn't really agree with some of the ideological framework that informed on relational patterns within families or in relationships there. I was always a little bit of a black sheep. And I'll never be the type of person to tell them that how they see life or what their current discourse is wrong. I would never be like that. However, the converse wasn't always for me, like I'm sure not a lot of my relatives and that really understand, or approve of my life right now and what I'm doing. However, nobody lives your life but you. So it's a very long answer to your short question of I would like to go there more, but I don't have anyone I would visit when I go there.
Nick, you were going to ask something.
Well, I was just going to say I was looking up that windstorm, and apparently that was the most destructive windstorm recorded in BC BC Hydro's history. They lost like hundreds of thousands of customers that day for 24 hours during that storm. And I don't think I remember seeing
I don't remember hearing about it either.
But that's just to sort of get on to what April's saying here. Like, it's interesting because that's not an uncommon theme for people who leave the province, to say, that some of the social conservatism, say, wasn't really for them. It's interesting because I find, like, I think what you're alluding to is that there's a morality question, particularly around the career that you've chosen for yourself now. And I've always thought, I've got relatives who worked in the oil patch, doing those hard labor jobs. And, I've always thought, well, I mean, those guys are selling their bodies. There's no doubt about that. And so that sort of morality clouding, your view of what valuable work is, or what satisfying work is, or whatever has always been an interesting thing to me. So you talk about your relatives who, probably don't approve of what it is that you're, the career that you've chosen now, despite the fact that you've got 2 degrees and worked for this national law firm for, 7 years and decided to venture out onto something else. I mean, what else can you ask for, really? So, being able to get away from that, I'm sure, was a bit of a relief for you as well.
It certainly was, yeah. Not to get too much into it, but you can still love people, but know that they're not healthy for you in your life. So it's okay to love people from a distance. And with respect to the morality piece, like, I don't have any shame around anything I do. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said we all sell parts of ourselves in all of our occupations, whether that's your brain or, manual labor in some respect. But anytime an element of like capitalizing on physical appearance, if a woman is doing it of her own volition, her own agency, if for some reason it's like seen as less acceptable, and that just kind of is because of an old antiquated framework of Christianity, kind of treating women as chattel or objects. And while society is moving beyond that, it's still a little bit there. And it's not to say that everyone in Saskatchewan is that way. I don't want to paint a broad brush. I love the people there. They're good, hardworking people, incredibly polite and kind. But I'm also the type of person who doesn't judge others based on their sexual preferences, their sexual choices, or what they do for work.
Right on. April, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back from the break, we're going to be showing you some videos, and we're going to be getting your response to some of these interesting weather videos that Nick's got queued up. But we'll be right back with more from April right after this message from CameraEasy.ca. El Niños, the Tornado Hunters podcast, is brought to you by CameraEasy.ca. Anyone can take great photos. I know because I've taught thousands of people how to use their fancy digital cameras. I make it simple and easy to understand so that even a pure beginner can get the most out of their camera. So if you want better pictures starting today, check out CameraEasy.ca. And now it's time for the CameraEasy.ca 30 seconds to better photos. Here's my tip of the week. Get out of your comfort zone. Everybody shoots pictures, and lots of great pictures, when it's a beautiful sunny day and you're at the lake and there's lots of fun things to shoot. Everybody gets great photos, but the real mark of a great photographer is getting out of your comfort zone. Shoot in the rain, shoot in the snow. When it's dark out, change the settings on the camera, shoot in the dark, do things and shoot in places and at times when other people put the camera away. You'll find that you get interesting photos and photos that people really care about seeing. So that's my tip of the week. All right, welcome back to El Niños, the Tornado Hunters podcast. This evening, we've got our very special guest, April Wilhelminas, joining us from Vancouver Island. And April, you just finished telling us a story about having your home destroyed in a windstorm. That's kind of like our dream come true. Like, we want to live through something like that. So you've had that experience. Do you kind of consider yourself if we were a team of storm chasers, you would be the Helen Hunt here, right?
Oh my gosh, you're speaking my dream. I wish. I was obsessed with that movie as a kid. I wanted to be just like them, and it kind of prompted me to always be searching for storms in Saskatchewan all the time, much to my sister or my mother's chagrin.
Right on. And so do you have a favorite quote? Everyone has a favorite quote from Twister. Do you have a favorite quote?
Oh, yeah. I was just saying my favorite scene was when they were at the drive-in, slicing through the door. And as he's slicing through the door, the tornado is also ripping apart the screen. And I thought it was such a very mise on a beam, play within a play, effect.
Right.
It's a very literary effect to have a creative piece within a creative piece that is a perfect creative pairing for the tone. I don't know. So I don't want to get too nerdy on it, but it was that was my favorite iconic scene. And it was also, and please don't hate me for saying this. So, one scene that I should not be laughing at, and I laugh every time I watch it, is again when they're at the drive-in, they're all in the hangar, and that older guy, the rim is spinning and it hits his head.
Yeah, he gets hit with a hubcap right in the face.
He was focused on getting that hose.
I don't know why I'm such a horrible person, but I'm such a sucker for slapstick. And for some reason, every time, his face after...
Hey, April, I
Right.
got to tell you a fun story about that drive-in theater scene in Twister. Is that
Yeah.
after that movie came out and people saw it, an urban legend developed that literally throughout Tornado Alley, when we're chasing in the springtime, whether we're in Texas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Kansas, doesn't matter where we are, when we meet people from small towns all over the place, we hear the same story over and over. And the story is people say, you know what? When that movie came out, our town had a drive-in theater and Twister was playing and we got hit by a tornado. And we hear
When
that
Twister's
same
playing, yeah.
right. So we've heard that same story from like everyone across
Dozen times.
everywhere. And obviously clearly an urban legend, but everyone really believes their town drive-in theater was hit by a tornado while the movie was playing. So it was just kind of interesting. So most important question about Twister before we move on. If you're Helen Hunt, of the three of us right here, right now, who's Bill Paxton? Who's playing Bill Paxton if you're Helen Hunt?
I mean, can't you all be Bill Paxton?
Oh, that is such a lame.
No, is the
that
answer
is
to that question.
such a lame answer.
Which one? I think the more important question is which one of us is Jonas and gets hit with a gigantic piece of debris?
That is probably the better question.
I think I'm more Jonas than I am Helen Hunt. I just can't get this right or something. Yeah.
Perfect. Love
Right
it.
on.
Nick, you got some videos.
Yeah, you got some videos, Nick. Let's see what we got.
Yeah, so this is related to the conversation around the wildfires more than anything else. But this is actually a video that was shot in Northern California, and this was in 2018 of a. This is actually aerial footage of a fire tornado developing. So this is the type of phenomenon that you can end up seeing. If you're if the fire gets hot enough and those winds start spinning, that hot air starts spinning up at ground level there, you end up with these fire-nados. And this is a fire truck dash cam footage of that gigantic fire-nado down in the valley there.
Holy.
Where is that again?
This is in Northern California. Carr Fire, CARR, fire tornado aerial footage from Carr Fire. So imagine coming around the corner in your truck, and
oh my god,
this is what you get to see here.
Look at that spinning too, like that's insane.
Yeah.
So that's off of fire truck dash cam or
Yeah,
roof cam, whatever.
So yeah, fire truck dash cam. So that's
Nick. Is that one of the current fires?
No, this was in 2018. Actually,
okay.
Carr Fire in Shasta County, California. So that's a fire
fires.
engine dash cam. This was the aerial view of it, but that fire truck that was down there on the road there got, it doesn't look so impressive in terms of motion here from the air. I mean, it's obviously impressive, but man, from the fire truck, I mean, that looks like a gigantic wedge tornadoes on the ground, 300 yards ahead of you.
Well, and what you can see from that aerial shot, Nick, is you can actually see the same dynamics that happen in a tornado, in particular at the surface, that inflow wind, substitute the fire there for moisture off the surface. And that is the exact same dynamics that are happening within a tornado. Very cool.
And you can see the core here is just pure flame, right? So, I mean, that is, in addition to the wind that would happen to be coming off the tornado, it's also terrifyingly hot. Wow. I'm sure. I don't know.
So April, you guys got to have some fires to your east. Have you seen any of the flames or smoke? Or I think you were out east a little bit last couple of days. Did you see anything out there?
Mm-hmm. It was really, really smoky and really dry. I wouldn't be surprised if there are fire-nados up there. Are they really called fire-nados?
Yeah, the elusive fire-nado for me.
I know, the whole thing is just like really post-apocalyptic, and like I feel like a good like background for a metal band music video. They did shut down 2 of the highways coming back, so that's what made my trip longer as well, because of the forest fires. So
Right.
I know they can be pretty devastating up here, but BC also has like a lot of forest land that isn't, especially in the interior, it's not really inhabited. So there might be a lot that happen that people don't really catch on camera.
Right. And I mean, a lot of that is, a lot of that is natural. It's going to happen every year. There's a certain amount of fire that's going to happen. The problem is in BC in particular, and actually Washington State's very similar, is that you've got these heavily populated valleys that, in particular in the Okanagan, and what happened in Lytton as well. But these heavily populated valleys, I mean, there's nowhere for the fire to go except for to hit houses and that sort of thing. And so that's what we're seeing with California right now as well.
Yeah. So I've got another video here. Now this one is a little more close to the phenomenon that April described happening out on the island there. So this is what some people refer to as a derecho or a dare echo, or a plow wind, or straight line winds, or a bow echo. A whole bunch of names for basically the same phenomena, but it's straight line wind. So I want you to just take note of this surveillance camera and to look this one up on YouTube, Cedar Rapids Derecho live camera, August 10th, 2020. So this is less than a year ago. This was that big system that affected the upper Midwest. So this is surveillance cam footage from somebody's house.
It looks so calm right there.
So calm. And then and this is a half-hour video, so if you want to watch the full deal, then be my guest. But we're just going to skip ahead to the 4-minute mark here, where we start to see that there is some debris accumulating here, likely from somewhere else, and then the storm kind of starts to hit, and we start to see the front part of this these straight line winds just sort of effortlessly taking down small branches here. We've got some leaves flying around in the air. It's obviously raining, but things are about to intensify fairly quickly here over the next several minutes in the video. But you can see that it's now taking down full branches of trees, and now large full branches of trees. And eventually we're going to get to a point where this guy's got what appears to be full trees now on the ground in his yard. And then the climax of the video for me is really when this evergreen finally that's been withstanding everything comes down and talk about tree damage. April said she lost 60% of her trees. This person is losing 100% of theirs.
So you think you'd be able to stand out in front of that thing there, Nick?
No.
I think if I were in
even
the
like
middle
a
of Saskatchewan,
45-degree angle, you don't think?
No, I mean, if there was no debris, fine. But if you were standing outside there, I mean, one of those branches hits you, you're dead.
If you stood like this and leaned into it, I think you'd be okay. I think that's how that works.
Right. Show me again,
Nick. You have
show me again.
Right. So like this, like at an angle like this.
Do you have to have your arms out like that too?
Can you turn sideways so we can see the angle?
Right. So it's like this.
Okay.
You gotta lean into it.
Yep, looks good.
And I think you'd probably want to, in that situation, remove your clothes so that you're not, getting snagged by the wind that way. You want to make yourself as aerodynamic as possible. This is when I pull out my argan oil hairspray and get things greased down. Safety first, folks.
We were just saying while you were off camera, we were just saying that we're going to get you. We ask every one of our guests the same question. Would you come storm chasing with us?
Yes, of course. That's
right on. Okay, so
would you actually have me, or are you just like leading me on now?
No. I mean, we ask literally everybody whether they want to come storm chasing, and if the opportunity ever comes up, we would be happy to do that. So we'll keep in touch, and if it ever works out, I think that'd be a ton of fun. You can live your Helen Hunt dream.
Oh my God, yes, please.
April, what's your schedule like in the summertime? So, can you set your own schedule? Is it open, or are you pretty hectic, or what's your story?
Summers are pretty hectic, as you can tell by today. It's my busiest work time, but I can kind of set my own schedule, but like there's a really high demand for like models and that right now, especially since COVID just lifted. So all the photographers and now all of the shoots that have been like waiting to shoot to bring in the international models again are like, yeah, okay, now we have to go ahead to go. So it's just a little bit overwhelming at the moment. But I'll also say I can take time off if I want to.
Yeah, we'll have to get you out there for like a 7 or 8 day chase down the States.
Oh my God.
Just one little caution, one little thing I got to say though about that is, I don't know if you know what a Ford F-150 smells like after 7 days with 4 dudes in a truck, but before you get too excited about going storm chasing, I just want you to imagine that scenario.
We talked about how I grew up on a farm, right?
Yeah, that's
right. True. Yeah, that is
Good point.
true.
Definitely getting around worse.
My favorite smell in
Uh-oh.
the whole world is actually the smell of like an old grain truck where it's like dirt, oil, rust, and like man BO all mixed together. I feel like if they wrap that up into a cologne, I would be obsessed with whoever.
Okay, well, that's dark.
Speaking the truth. There's just something about like that smell of like dirt and oil mixed together. I think it's really nice.
I know that smell you talk about with the old vehicles, though. Like there really is a very, very specific smell. Yeah,
I do like the smell of gas.
Yeah, like just on its own.
Yeah.
Every chance he gets when we're on the road, he's out there huffing those pumps.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
I mean, you got to pay for gas somehow. So if you have like somebody who's
He's always forgetting his keys after that.
yeah, right.
Where the hell's Cubby at? Oh, he's over there sniffing gas again.
Oh my God.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Mandy Eggman says storm chasing with just one guy smells enough. that's probably true.
Standard questions for you here is what is your favorite sports team?
I would probably have a hit on me if I didn't say the Rough Riders.
That's good. Who is your favorite band or artist?
Oh, that's a tough one. Can I be lame and like name someone classical? Like I play the piano and started playing the harp, and I'm really in love with Tchaikovsky.
That was my pick as well. Was Tchaikovsky? Yeah, that's my pick as well. Yeah.
So if you're,
I have all of his albums.
it's a she.
Me too. No, it's a he.
So April, if you're going to the electric chair and you had one meal left, what would be your go-to meal?
Anything beige colored. So beige food is my favorite kind of food. So like just think of anything, but any food that's the color beige and like any like kind of like, I would just say I want the beigest meal you can give me.
All right, and final and last question is, if we were all stranded on a mountain, no way out, who would you eat first if you had to eat a human being out of the 4 of us?
Who would I eat first?
Yeah, if you had to, like survival.
I feel like there'd be a way around eating one of you. Like, isn't like veganism the thing now? Like, couldn't I survive off of like?
No, you have to eat. You have to eat one of us.
You gotta pick Nick, Greggles, or me.
Okay, well, whoever's the biggest. Who's the tallest and biggest?
Cubby.
Greggles.
Well, those are two different things. We've got the biggest and we've got the tallest. But I think that if we're erring on the side of plentifulness, it's Cubby.
I'm all about like the bigger bang for your buck, right? And like
right.
It's great.
Most people just shout out Cubby.
They just shouted out because intellectually he'd contribute nothing to the survival of the pack. So it's best to get rid of him quickly.
Actually,
That's usually the reason.
I was a survival expert back in 2006 to 2009. I taught a class actually out, Nick. So you might want to back that statement back a little bit.
What's,
I'll walk
what's
it back
the
when I see
certification
it.
for becoming a survival expert?
Yeah,
Let's
it's
hear
me.
about that.
Mountain survival, actually.
And is it like a schooling like what program is it?
Yeah, copy that. It was North American standard mountain survival based out of the Rockies.
Right.
Would you agree with my assessment then, based on your qualifications?
Yeah. I mean, I would probably eat myself too, but I would probably choose Greg to be my number one guy. But
I like in this scenario, I'd probably be the last one. No.
All right, I think that's where we're going to cut this conversation off. April, thanks for joining us. That was a ton of fun, and I'm glad we got the technical issues worked out. And listen, I hope your house doesn't get destroyed in another windstorm. But it was really great having you on, and we'll keep in touch and get you out storm chasing maybe in 2022.
That'd be wonderful. Thanks so much for having me, guys. Bye.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank
take
you,
care,
April.
April. Yeah,
Take
bye-bye.
care.
All right. Well, thank you very much to April Wilhelmina for joining us. Very, very interesting conversation about her journey from the plains out to Vancouver and changing careers. If you would like to follow April's journey, you can check out all of her contact information in the episode 9 show notes. And we'll keep in touch. And you never know, Chris. Maybe we'll get a chance to have April out as a chaser with us on part of our team and get her to live her Helen Hunt dream.
Yeah, so like when I was talking with her yesterday, she comes out here every summer during harvest time. So we could totally get her out chasing, I think.
Also, a quick reminder that if you'd like to follow us, check out tornadohunter.com, where you can find past episodes of El Niños as well as all of our social links. And if you like the show, please hit the subscribe or follow button on your favorite podcast app. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Check out past episodes of Stormfront Freaks and El Niños, the Tornado Hunters podcast, by subscribing at Stormfront Freaks podcast. And there are close to 100